It was a warm, sunny morning deep in the forest, surrounded by tall mountains. A guy stood in the distance, watching a woman sitting peacefully. That woman was Lena, and like always, she acted like the boss. The guy, Hedo, mentioned how beautiful everything looked around them, and Lena agreed. It was kind of wild to think this whole world existed inside a game. Hedo reminded her it was the day to check in on their pets. Lena lit up. She'd always wanted to take care of animals, especially give them baths. Hedo asked if they should call everyone, and with a loud shout, he summoned all the creatures. Different animals and their owners showed up, ready for bath day. Once everyone was there, Hedo checked in with his favorite, his bony wolf pet. And yeah, the wolf seemed to love splashing in the water. He then introduced Lena's creature, a chubby little nature pig who snorted happily. Lena promised she'd make her pet shine like never before. Then Hedo turned to Bagar, a grumpy, one-legged bird. The bird squawked back like, "Fine, I'll do it." But Lena noticed he didn't look thrilled. Hedo explained that the bird usually cleaned himself and didn't like help. Soon, it was time for the last one, jiggly little slime. Lena scooped him up and rubbed her face against him, loving how cool and squishy he felt. But when she tried to drop him into the bath, he started freaking out. She was confused until she realized he didn't like water. He wanted potions instead. Lena felt a bit down, thinking she'd messed up. But Hedo quickly jumped in and said he'd whip up a potion bath using alchemy. Lena lit up, super excited, and gave him a surprise kiss on the cheek to say thanks. Both of them blushed, but they got back to finishing the baths. One by one, they called their clean and happy pets. First the wolf, then the pig, the slime, and finally the moody bird. With everyone looking fresh, the group got ready for their next adventure. The sun was shining over a big lake full of flowers, and birds flew across the blue sky. Everything felt peaceful. Lena sat sketching in her notebook while Hedo chilled nearby, petting his wolf. Their home in the game felt calm and full of love. But then, Hedo found himself somewhere else. The sun hit his eyes, and when he looked around, he was standing in a massive digital city. It was straight out of a trailer for Free Frontier Online, the VR game they'd just started. He was excited to explore, but first, he had to find Lena in the game. Then he saw her character, a cool dark elf with a confident look. She teased him about being late. Turns out both of them joined the game for one big reason. They love cute animals. In real life, they couldn't keep pets because of allergies. Lena was always showing Hedo adorable videos of animals she couldn't touch. She even showed him a video of a fluffy baby bear once, saying how badly she wanted to hug one. But here in the game, there were no allergies. Virtual animals? No problem. As Lena struck a pose, she asked if Hedo liked her character. He got lost just looking at her and nodded, totally smitten. She giggled and thanked him. He asked why she chose that character, and she said, "Dark elves always looked cool in the art she saw online." Hedo remembered something though. Dark elves weren't great in terms of game stats. Lena was surprised. He admitted he hadn't looked at his stats either. So they decided to check together. Hedo's character was human and had pretty even stats, nothing too flashy but solid. Lena's stats were all over the place, some high, some super low. Hedo was a bit worried at first, but noticed she had strong magic and speed. That could work. They decided to learn new skills together. A little later, Hedo suddenly shouted, surprising the nearby players. Lena asked what was going on. He explained that after picking a sword skill, a sword actually appeared at his side. Lena tried not to laugh, but totally failed and burst out giggling. Hedo turned red from embarrassment. Wiping away her tears, Lena asked what other skills he chose. He listed sword fighting and potion making. She guessed the last one right away. Animal taming. He smiled. She knew him too well. Lena was already fired up, daydreaming about all the adorable creatures she could raise. Her imagination ran wild, and she even started drooling a little. Hito, noticing, gently wiped her mouth with a cloth and chuckled to himself. She gave him a quick thank you, and just like that, the two of them were all set to kick off their new journey. But before they could take a step, a group of 3 annoying players showed up. One of them, a flashy blonde, stared at Lena like she was some prize and threw some cringe comments her way. It was clear they thought they were hot stuff, but Lena wasn't having it. She made it obvious she was already taken and didn't want anything to do with them. The trio looked stunned, totally not expecting her to shut them down so confidently. Hito stood there, a bit confused at first. He had assumed they were just NPCs acting weird, but when he realized they were real players, it made their behavior even worse. Before things could escalate, Lena grabbed his sleeve and nudged him along, saying they should find somewhere to stay instead of wasting time. Hito wasn't sure why she was in such a rush, but she pulled him down the street anyway, holding onto his arm in a way that made it pretty hard to say no. The guys behind them started shouting again, jealous they weren't getting the same kind of attention. That's when Lena snapped. She warned them to back off or she'd report them, and Hito could tell she was fuming. He knew if they didn't resolve this soon, she'd stay upset the whole day. Looking ahead, he spotted something that gave him an idea. He apologized for not handling the situation better and admitted he'd just been curious if players like that actually existed. Lena didn't seem too bothered anymore and even found the whole thing kind of funny. But when she said she was mostly annoyed because they insulted her husband, Hito felt genuinely touched. That little detail meant a lot to him. She brushed it off like it was nothing, but told him next time he better speak up first. With that awkward moment behind them, they finally reached a huge building. It was the Adventurers Guild. They stepped inside together, checking out the busy interior full of other players. It was lively, and everything felt like it was happening for real. Hito went up to the front desk and asked how they could join. The woman at the counter showed them a round disc and said to place their hands on it. He volunteered to go first. As soon as he touched it, a light flared up and confirmed his registration. It was super quick. The receptionist handed over his guild card and explained how adventurers could level up by doing missions and helping out. She also told them to be careful not to lose their cards. Heading back out, Hito said they should probably find a place to rest, but first he wanted to put his cards somewhere safe. He checked his outfit for pockets, but Lena pointed out that they should be using their inventory instead. Sure enough, as soon as he thought about it, the card zipped into his item box. While scrolling through his menu, something caught his eye. A random, rare ticket. He hadn't even noticed it before. Lena wasn't surprised. She figured he'd miss it since he tends to overlook stuff sometimes, which made him blush a little. She was hyped to use it and asked if they should go for it right away. Hito was just as curious, so they both activated the ticket together. A light shimmered, and then something began to form right in front of them. Hito ended up summoning a bone wolf, his very first familiar. The creature looked strong, yet loyal. Lena, on the other hand, got a new magic skill related to plants. She seemed a little let down, though, and quietly asked if she could pet the wolf since it looked so cool. The young man nods, giving his wife the go-ahead to try touching the wolf. She still seems unsure, but he reassures her that it's safe. Since her allergies don't follow her into the game, this is her chance. She crouches down and warns the little creature she's going to pet him. The wolf lets out a happy bark. Her hand shakes as she reaches out, and when her fingers finally touch the bony surface of the wolf's head, she breaks down crying. She can't believe she's actually able to do something so small, yet so big for her. Her husband watches quietly, smiling. He notices the wolf's tail stop wagging and realizes it's worried about her. She quickly wipes her tears and tells the little guy everything's okay. The wolf seems to relax a bit. The husband gently says sorry to the creature for making it worry and introduces himself as its master. His wife chuckles and wonders if this whole setup isn't a bit much, especially for someone who's just a swordsman. He shrugs, saying it comes with the territory. Lena, still a bit emotional, asks if she can pet the wolf again, but this time with both hands. Her husband tells her to go easy. While she's focused on the creature, he checks out its stats, and he's stunned. This wolf is no joke. It's faster and stronger than he is in almost every way. Then Lena suddenly points out that the wolf's health is dropping. Panic hits. He scans the numbers and sees she's right. His wife figures it out first. Maybe it's the sunlight? After all, the creature is made of bones. That theory makes too much sense. They immediately rush into the nearest shaded alley. Out of breath, all three stop to catch themselves. The wolf seems to cheer up again, barking playfully. The young man apologizes to it and feels a little better when it licks his hand. Lena says if he really feels sorry, he should show it. She suggests naming the little guy. It might help him feel more loved. After thinking for a bit, he comes up with a name, Mamoru, which means protection. He wants this wolf to help him keep his wife safe. The wolf perks up and hops in place, clearly loving the name. Then just like that, the wolf throws himself into his arms in excitement. Lena's smile drops. She's mad that the creature only gets that affectionate with her husband. She crouches down and calls out to it, but the wolf just tilts its head. Even the wolf seems unsure. Her husband gently tells her that it probably senses something. She pouts, tears in her eyes again, saying it's unfair. Her cries echo through the street like some sad anime scene. Later, they find a decent spot to log out safely. Lena suddenly remembers she has a work call and says she needs to go. Before logging out, she asks if her husband will keep playing. He says he'll stick around for a bit longer. He wants to bond more with Mamoru. Lena feels a bit jealous, but he promises that the wolf will become her friend too. Mamoru lets out a bark like he agrees, and that cheers her right up. Once she logs out, night falls in the game world. The young man, now alone with Mamoru, decides it's time to go exploring. The city looks different at night, with more people around than during the day. He heads to the guild again. Just as he's looking around, a rugged-looking guy with a scar on his face approaches him. He asks if he's the new guy who registered earlier. The young man says yeah, and explains he's planning to go hunt monsters now. The guy warns him that tougher monsters tend to show up after dark, but the young man explains that his familiar can't handle sunlight, so nighttime is better for them. When the man hears he's partnered with a bone wolf, he nods like it makes sense. He says not to worry. There's nothing in the beginner zone that Mamoru can't handle. That boosts the swordsman's confidence. He quietly promises himself he won't let the wolf do all the work. The guy wishes him luck and gives him a strong pat on the back before walking off. The young man turns to the mission board, scans it, and picks a quest that catches his eye. It's time to get started. Their journey took them into the highlands, a quiet part of the eastern lands, where only beginner monsters hang out. It was nighttime though, and the place was super dark. Hito could barely see a thing, but his bone wolf, Mamoru, suddenly picked up on something and bolted ahead without warning. Hito shouted for him to wait, but the wolf was already gone, moving way faster than him. With all those speed stats, there was no way to keep up. He chased after him, scanning the area until the wolf finally reappeared. This time, Mamoru came back with something in his mouth. A small wild beast he'd hunted on his own. It wasn't exactly pretty. Hito was a bit grossed out, but also impressed. The wolf had done it solo. Since there wasn't any game loot to collect, Hito had to toss the creature's remains into his inventory manually. It made him realize something important. They needed some kind of system to work together better. He came up with a signal. Whenever Mamoru spotted a monster, he'd tap Hito on the back twice with his tail. That way, he'd know to get ready. The wolf seemed to like the idea, and from then on, they moved through the fields like a team. Later that night, Mamoru gave the signal again. This time, he didn't run too far ahead. He'd adjusted his pace so they could move together. As they crept closer, Hito noticed another small creature ahead. It hadn't seen them yet. He decided to take this one on by himself. Hand on his sword, he rushed in, focused and determined. The moment was intense. His heart was pounding, and sweat ran down his face as he slashed. The little monster dropped immediately. After catching his breath, Hito nudged the creature to make sure it was actually down. No movement. He'd won. His level went up from that fight, which made him feel proud. He reached down to give Mamoru a pat for sticking with him. Then he checked his stats, but didn't notice much change. It was a bit confusing until he saw that Mamoru had leveled up too. The wolf's power stats were still crazy strong though. Then he realized he hadn't even checked the wolf's special abilities yet. Turns out, Mamoru could sense living things nearby and had a vision mode that helped him see even in complete darkness. That explained why the wolf never had trouble finding enemies. Seeing that they could both fight now, Hito figured it was the perfect time to rack up some experience. He let Mamoru lead the way, tracking monsters while he handled the battles. The two spent hours grinding together until sunrise painted the sky. When they looked around, the field was full of defeated creatures. Hito suddenly remembered the sunlight issue and panicked a little. They had to move fast. Back at a safe spot, he saw Mamoru was tired. They'd just made it in time. He made a mental note to be more careful. But for now, he just smiled and praised the little guy. Mamoru had done an awesome job. Hito gave him a few head pats, chuckling. Then he finally looked at his progress from the night. His main level had jumped more than his side classes. Even better, he earned a new title for taking down so many monsters. It came with bonus stats and cool perks. Hito had no idea how many rabbit-like creatures were actually in the game, but whatever, he got a new title, and that was cool. Mamoru also leveled up, which was a nice bonus. Before logging off, Hito asked his loyal wolf pal to hold the fort until he got back. Then, he vanished from the game world. His eyes opened in real life. He was back in his room, lying on the bed, VR headset still strapped to his face. He pulled it off, stretched a little, and headed out to find his wife. She was already in the kitchen, and just like always, she greeted him with a smile. He told her he was back and asked about the online meeting she had. She said it wrapped up a while ago. He offered to cook dinner like usual, but Lena took one look at him and said they should just get takeout. She could tell he was beat. Hito asked if it was that obvious, and she gave him a cheeky grin. Of course she noticed. She always noticed. That's just how she was. Hito found it a little scary how well she could read him, but in a sweet way. He thanked her once the food came, and over dinner, he got curious and asked her about nature-based magic. She admitted she wasn't really sure, but did know one spell that could make thorny vines sprout from the ground and grab enemies like a trap. They agreed they'd learn more about the game together as they played. Later, Lena sighed, remembering that Hito couldn't eat crab. So he gave her his portion. She pouted a little, but he just thought she looked adorable doing it. Then she asked if he wanted to play again the next day, and of course he said yes. She suggested they go on an adventure together, and they jumped into the game to explore a new area called the Forest of Stings. But the place was oddly quiet, no monsters in sight. Hito figured it was time to learn a skill that could help detect creatures nearby. They'd actually been to another place before, some open hills where horned creatures usually spawned. While waiting for enemies to show up, Hito spotted one first and let Lena take the lead. She confidently raised her staff and summoned thorny vines from the ground that flipped the little beast upside down. Hito ran over and finished it off with his blade. It was a clean win, and they were feeling good. After that, Lena showed off her new stat screen. She had unlocked water magic. Hito was surprised, and they both celebrated. Now she could attack instead of only supporting. He joked that it was time for the dark elf side of her to shine. She promised to take the lead more often now. That's when they both realized the monsters were getting too easy, so they decided to venture further next time. Back in the forest, Hito finally learned how to sense hidden creatures. He told Lena about the skill, and she mentioned they should bring Mamoru, but since it was daytime, Hito said it was better not to. Lena sighed. She wanted a familiar too. Hito suggested they go hunting for one once she leveled up, and she loved the idea. They got back to exploring. Hito concentrated, using his new skill to spot a monster hiding in a tree. He kicked the trunk hard and something dropped down. It was a monkey-like creature, and it wasn't happy. It lunged at them, but Hito stepped up to shield Lena, taking the brunt of the attack. Even though he blocked most of it, the thing wouldn't back off. It was tougher than anything they had faced so far. Lena quickly cast her vine spell to hold it down. Hito thanked her, slashed at it again and again, but the beast just wouldn't go down. Finally, Lena summoned water and launched a water ball straight into the creature's chest. That did it. They beat the monster. Hito was amazed by Lena's strength, but she said he had weakened it first. Being from a magic-based race, she figured the least she could do was land the final blow. They decided to split their roles. Hito would protect and fight up close, while Lena would focus on dealing magic damage. Turns out Hito had leveled up too. They smiled at each other, ready for the next step. Finding Lena a familiar. Lena was already obsessed with the bone wolf they met before. She found it way too cute. Hito smiled. It looked tired from her affection, honestly. The next time he logged in, Hito was surprised to see Lena already online. She reminded him that today was the day she'd finally search for her own familiar. She had been holding off until she learned more about the game, but now she felt ready. They went to the Fast Plains, a wide open area known for rare creatures. It was basically a paradise for people trying to tame monsters. Not long after arriving, Hito sensed something coming. A red pig darted toward them. It wasn't dangerous, but they didn't know if it could be tamed, so they decided to battle it. Lena hit it with a water attack. It landed, but didn't finish the job. The pig shook it off and rushed at them. Hito stepped up, sword ready. The creature slammed into the blade with surprising force, bouncing back while Hito stumbled a bit from the impact. Lena checks on her husband after the fight, but he just brushes it off and opens his stats to see if anything changed. That's when she remembers the strange red creature they fought. It's lying still on the ground, not moving at all. The elf admits she couldn't really tame it, but maybe it was enough to win the fight anyway. Hito figures he must have hit it right in a weak spot, which makes him feel a little guilty. Lena reminds him he also got thrown through the air during the fight, which evens things out. He shrugs it off and uses his dismantling skill. All he gets from the creature is its rough hide. Not what he was hoping for. He was aiming for some meat, the kind you usually find early in games. Lena sighs too, saying they really needed it. Hito remembers hearing somewhere that if you cook it dry, it stinks. Lena is stunned. She thought it was just slice and grill. Cooking is clearly not her strong point, even with bonus skills. She starts wondering if he's teasing her since he laughed a bit. He tries to play it cool, saying she just looked really cute in that moment. She gets a bit flustered but doesn't push it further. They both decide to keep moving and find the next monster. After all, they still need to get a familiar today. As they're walking through the grassy fields, Hito spots something nearby and points it out. Lena freezes when she sees what it is. Her face turns sad and she shakes her head. It's a small, gooey-looking creature, wobbling around all harmless. She just can't bring herself to attack it. It looks too innocent. Hito figures this must be the kind of monster she likes. He suggests checking the beginner's board to see if there's a way to tame it. That gets Lena excited. She heads off to check the board while asking Hito to keep watch. As he stares at the creature, he finds himself kind of mesmerized by the way it moves. It's weirdly relaxing. Lena comes back after finding something interesting. Apparently, if you give the creature something it likes, it might accept you. Hito wonders what she's going to offer. Lena thinks it should be something she'd be happy to get herself. She gently asks if he's got an extra potion lying around. He hands one over, and she offers it to the slime. After a few seconds of hesitation, it slurps it up and jumps right into her hands, then bounces onto her head and curls up there. It's official. She tamed it. Lena can't stop smiling as she holds her new friend. Hito is honestly impressed she managed it on her first try. Now she needs a name for the little guy. She tries a few cute ideas until the creature bounces happily at one of them. That seals the deal. With her first companion by her side, the couple heads back to the city. By the time they return, it's already night, but the place is buzzing with noise. Hito notices a crowd gathering. Something's clearly happened. They spot someone being carried in, a beast man. badly hurt. People are asking for a healer, but no one seems to respond. Even though he doesn't know him, Hito feels worried. The injured guy insists he won't make it, but there's something important he has to say. He suddenly points straight at Hito, catching him off guard. Hito's confused, but the guy carrying the beast man waves him over. Hito approaches slowly, unsure what's going on. The beast man warns him. He hunted creatures just like the ones that attacked. Now something stronger is coming for him too, a unique monster, driven by revenge. Edo quickly checks his status and his blood runs cold. A new title appears, Rabbit Slayer, and under it the name of a boss he's never seen, Resentful Rabbit Commander. It's a special monster, the leader of the ones he's fought before, and now it's hunting him. Before he can think further, Mamoru, his skeletal wolf companion, starts growling. The rabbit boss has arrived. It looks nothing like the others. This one's huge and powerful, filled with rage. Mamoru steps up to protect his master, but the boss lands a massive hit, sending the wolf flying. Hito panics and tries to help. He looks for an opening and attempts to attack from behind, but the boss is fast. It senses him coming and blocks the strike with one punch. Hito barely has time to react before the creature hits him, and everything fades to black. When he wakes up, he's at the guild. His face shows nothing but disappointment. Mamoru is lying beside him, looking just as crushed. Hito pats him, whispering a quiet apology. He regrets failing, especially after promising Lena he'd be careful, but he knows he can't stop here. That title means the boss will keep coming for him. If he wants to protect himself and the people he cares about, he needs to figure out a plan. And that's where this part ends. Don't miss what comes next. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next chapter drops. Catch you later.